right, hey folks, it looks like we're gonna be up and running here. It's lunchtime. We're gonna do some game design today for Martial Power System and the color mana variant rules that we have for Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition. Basically converting spells and all the character classes into a color mana system that reflects the Magic the Gathering 5 color magic system. White, blue, black, red, green as an alignment, as well as a mechanical system. So with all 13 or maybe 14 classes in the D&D game operating under a unified color mana system, we can really convert anything in Magic the Gathering into the D&D 5e game engine. That is what we are doing here. So give me a few minutes here. I just need to, if you're already familiar with the channel, you can skip ahead a minute till we actually get started. But I just went live. I didn't have a countdown, so we're just waiting. I just need to do some social media posts real quick. Let me check my volume here to make sure I'm coming through okay. Posts real quick. Yeah, it sounds like I'm coming through loud and clear. So let me drop that down here. I'm going to grab my social media link here real fast so I can post this online. And then we'll get to work here for about an hour or so. So I'll distract you with my origin story while I click a bunch of buttons. My name is Phil Kearney. I create role-playing games, I illustrate them, I publish them online, and I've been creating content for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition on DMsGuild since 2018, starting with the Color Mana Spell Point variant rules for 2014. We're going to be updating all of those rules for 2024. That's what this project is, to lock in all 14 classes, including the Scion if they publish it. All 14 subclasses. All 14 character classes for D&D. Let's see. I've been a DM since 1987, a Magic the Gathering enthusiast since 1994, a freelance illustrator since 1999, and again, DMsGuild content since 2018. So I got started because when Ravnica and Strixhaven and Theros were being published for D&D 5e as settings, they left it in the Vancian spell slot 8 schools of magic paradigm that is standard for D&D 5e. But the way that Wizards and 2nd edition under TSR used to operate, that if you came out with a new thing, you would create customized mechanics to help further reflect the flavor of that campaign or the themes of whatever that splat book is. But maybe for better or for worse, Wizards of the Coast has learned from 3E, 4E, and all the prior editions that the more diversified you make mechanics, the more you shatter the base, the more difficult it is to have high profits for each individual product that you put out. So their philosophy now is to boil down the mechanics of everything to coincide with what's already in the core handbook, Player's Handbook in DMG. This expansion that we're creating as an alternate magic system that works for all 14 classes, that would be a significant variant away from normal D&D that Wizards wouldn't formally promote in their own books, which means that we're not likely to see anything more than the casual conversion guide books that we have for Ravnica, Strixhaven, and Theros. That's probably as much venture as they've been willing to make for a while to explore with MTG as an RPG setting. So, lucky us, we've been doing the work and making it happen, and we're continuing to perform playtesting on my server. And as a result of that, we continue to innovate and improve the technology of the Color Mana system, and we're going to continue pushing that bar here today. So, let me just fix my screens here real quick. There we go. And let me just finish up by saying, if you think this stuff is cool, like, subscribe, hit the bell icon for notifications of when we're live in the future. Here's the Color Mana books that I've already created for D&D 5e 2014. They work fine, but we're going to be updating all of those books and adding these Martial Power expansions to the 2024 set. Here's a bunch of other books that I've created already on DMsGuild. They all have free previews. They're expansive. Be welcome to check them out. If you think they're cool and you like 5e, consider picking it up to encourage similar behavior in the future. And finally, I'll say, here's the Martial Powers playtest document that we use. It's a Google Doc. For you, it's going to be read-only, but this is without the live document that we're currently using. Here, I'm going to crack this open and just grab this one instead. because we're going to be working on the rogue today. So we were working on the rogue last night during our game design stream. Here is sustain powers. I'm going to take the YouTube window and peel it out into a separate window so I can keep it out of the way. But we'll be working specifically on the rogue today, and we did some innovations on this last night because the playtesting that we've been seeing, we have a 6-level rogue in our playtest team right now, and I just was not liking how the clunkiness of the dice mechanics were between using the mana system and sneak attack. So I wanted to rebuild that to simplify it, to make it far more binary of either using sneak attack dice or using mana to empower strikes. So for those that are not already thoroughly indoctrinated, welcome to the mix. I'm glad that you're here. Please sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Let's see. Strike powers. Well, just let me do this instead. Let's go here. Let's go back to the front of the document. Again, this link is in the description down below. Martial Powers playtest content. It modifies Barbarian, Fighter, Monk, Paladin, Ranger, Rogue, as well as Artificer and Warlock to utilize a half-casting short rest mana system that also allows us to sacrifice action economy during combat to generate mana to fuel different spell and magic effects, like instant magic effects, like personal aura buffing effects, exploits that modify die rolls and your action economy, maneuvers, which are like spell-like abilities that you can use as a magic action or as a bonus action, both in the same round if you want. Reactions are reactions, kind of self-explanatory in the 5e game engine, as well as strikes and sustained powers. Sustained powers are like concentration aura effects that you put on yourself. Like in Magic the Gathering, if you have a creature card and like you have a creature aura card, you cast the magic and you put it on the card, and it modifies that creature. Like maybe it gives them flying or phase or first strike, or like adds damage to them or something. There's a lot of different ways you can use auras to modify creatures, and so the sustained powers that we have in here similarly modify your character while they're active on you. You spend mana, you turn them on, they now modify your character, and they stay on until they're dispelled or you're incapacitated or take a long rest. But strike powers specifically, it works like the 2014 Paladin in that when you hit somebody, you can expend mana as part of the attack to ramp the damage and impose some sort of a condition. We have 27 strikes, 26 different strike powers. It's a half casting scaling. So let's go back up to the top of the document here. We're using a half casting progression, ranks of power versus levels of spells. 1st through 5 at 1, 5, 9, 13, 17, which is the same as the Ranger, the Paladin, and the Artificer already. The amount of mana that you gain is using the Monk's focused key progression, as well as the spell point Warlock progression that we have published on the DMsGuild already. You can see the link to that down below as well. It's on a short rest. You gain mana 1 to 20 based on the level of your character. At 20th level, you have 20 mana. You get back on a short rest. The power die is a Bardic Inspiration die, Superiority die, Flash of Genius die, Proficiency die. It starts with a D6, becomes a D8 at 9, and becomes a D10 at 17. Some classes can go up to 12 instead of just a D10. Like the Monk has D6, D8, D10, and then D12. So they have a higher number power die than normal classes do. Same as like the Battle Master has a D8, D10, D12 as well. So the number of prepared powers that we have starts at 4. This also includes fighting, fighting style feats, as well as like weapon masteries. You can learn those alongside the powers that your character can have, or in the case of half casters like the Paladin, Artificer, and Ranger, you can select. These are your prepared powers, which could also be spells. And then all of the characters gain subclasses, and caster would get 10 spells, but the martial characters gain 10 powers. And like the Ranger is a weird one because sometimes they get 10 spells, sometimes they get 5 spells, and sometimes they don't get any spells. If they get 10 spells, then they get 10 spells. If they get 5 spells, then you get 5 powers as well, so your total is 10. And then if you don't get any spells, we give you 10 powers. So you have that diversity, and the Artificer, Paladin, and Ranger can choose between their Paladin or their spell list and the list of powers that we have here. But the way that strike powers work is that depending on the amount of mana that you spend, at first level you can have 1, 2 at 5th, 3 at 9th, up to 5 at 17. When you expend mana, when you hit something, you expend the mana, and then you add the dice of damage that you deal based on your level. Like a 5th level rogue could spend up to 2 mana, which could be D6s. At 9th level, it becomes D8s, and you can spend up to 3 mana. It's like a 5th level rogue would roll 2d6, add that to the damage, and whatever the kicker effect is for the type of strike that they've prepared. Like a distracting strike, your weapon deals extra damage equal to 1 power die per mana expended this way, so 2 mana is 2d6. And the next attack roll against the target has advantage if the attack is made before the start of your next turn. So that's basically Vex, but it does extra damage on top of being Vex. So most of the weapon masteries that exist in the game are ramped up in some way depending on how much mana you spend, by either dealing extra damage or also having an additional kicker effect. Like the Thundering Strike, for instance, is basically a ramped up push. Your weapon can deal thunder damage. It increases damage by 1 power die per mana expended this way, and a creature is pushed directly away from you up to 10 feet for each point of mana expended. The push mastery is normal weapon damage, and you push them 10 feet. This is however much mana you spend. You're doing extra damage, and it's 10 feet for every point of mana, up to 5 mana at 17th level, 5 mana. That's a 50-foot push. You can launch them, and dealing at 17th level D10s an extra 5d10 damage. So it actually ends up scaling really nicely with multi-class options for the Paladin to be able to keep or outpace a Soradin build, for instance. Let's see. So that's the basic mechanics of how a strike works. So looking at the rogue specifically, the revisions that we had made is, so regarding sneak attack, last night when we were on stream last, episode 10, I was musing about using martial damage, the martial strikes on top of sneak attack, but it's so easy for rogues to generate mana by sacrificing action economy to dump into that single sneak attack. It actually ends up breaking the game. So instead we had to modify it so that you can either deal sneak attack like normal with a weapon mastery, or you could sacrifice all your sneak attack and instead gain free mana to spend as part of that attack. So the level of your character, like the level of your rogue, if you're like, we have a 6th level rogue in our party right now, the max rank of power we have is 2. It would be 2 6-sided dice. The rogue currently has 3d6 damage, so you could do 3d6 damage and use a mastery, or you can do 2d6 damage and the kicker effect for any of these effects, like Tripping Strike. Your weapon damage increases by 1 power die per mana expended, and you knock a large or smaller creature prone. So with 2 mana, we're doing 2d6 damage, and we're automatically knocking somebody prone. When you expend 3 or more mana, you can trip a huge creature, and when you spend 5 mana, you can trip a gargantuan creature. It should just say 5 mana because that's the cap. So your 5th level, you have access to 2nd rank powers. Like for example, Blinding Strike. Your weapon deals radiant damage and increases the damage by 1 power die per mana, so it'd be 2d6 damage. As opposed to the flat 3d6 that you get from sneak attack, with this it would be 2d6 damage, and the creature is blinded. The creature can attempt to end this effect by succeeding in Constitution saving throw at the end of each of its turns. So you could use these powers by spending mana yourself, but if you use a sneak attack, you sacrifice your sneak attack dice and basically get this at 5th level, this 2nd rank power. At 9th level, you get 3 mana that you can spend. Unlike like Staggering Strike, your weapon deals psychic damage and would then do 3d8 extra damage, as opposed to like at 9th level, it would be 1, 3, 5, 7. It'd be 5d6 damage up to 30, or 3d8 up to 24, plus the staggering condition, which is the target has to make a Constitution saving throw, and if it fails, It can't take reactions and can do only one of the following: either move, take an action, or a bonus action. The target can end this effect with a successful Constitution saving throw. So, this is basically a significant glow up and more expansive 27 options compared to the Cunning Strike that Wizards eventually came up with for 5e24. So, this works pretty well. It works pretty well. And it's an alternate mana option for your character. But beyond that, there's more we can tweak with it. So we've been bending further with it. And this is just called basically empowered sneak attacks. So I should actually go up here and alter the name. So we have channeling, expertise, empowered sneak attacks, and thieves can't. At third level, you get Uncanny Power, which is you can sacrifice your movement to generate 1 point of temporary mana. Or you can gain advantage on your next attack during your turn if you want to instead. To be able to gain advantage and deal extra, it actually costs 2 mana, so this is a pretty good deal for the rogue right off the cuff. By 5th level, we get Cunning Power, which is you can generate temporary mana instead of dealing sneak attack damage. When you generate temporary mana instead of dealing sneak attack damage, you don't have to spend it on a strike. You just gain, you hit the target, and then you get a huge surge of mana that you could then spend on the strike if you want to deal extra damage on your sneak attack, or until the end of your turn, you could spend it like on a bonus action or as part of movement or an exploit to modify other activities that you have during your turn. And again, as a reaction, if you get a sneak attack in, you would then be able to also gain mana and then dump it. But if you're already using your reaction to deal a sneak attack, you wouldn't have any other reaction that you could take because you're still limited to 1 reaction per turn. So when you generate that mana, you're basically just going to drop it into a strike power instead of your sneak attack damage. So it's up to you. Do you just want to do raw damage? Probably just using sneak attack is going to be good for you. Because like at 7th level, 6d6 is going to be better than the 3d8 that you can deal, but you won't get any kicker effects other than the weapon mastery that you're using. So there is there's that choice. Do I want to do tactical stuff with a strike power with less damage, which is what the Cunning Strikes offer us already in the 5e24 books that are presented, or we're just going to deal damage. So that's how that sits. And then the other thing that we add in, at 11th level, you get improved Uncanny Power. So when your ability to generate mana improves, which is when you sacrifice your movement or your reaction. Normally your reaction only generates 1 point of mana. But if we're going to sacrifice it because we're a rogue and sneak attack is so tasty, if we're going to instead sacrifice a reaction to generate mana, it's going to give us 2 points. And now movement for the rogue also generates 2 points instead of 1. So you can really generate a lot of temporary mana during your turn to be able to ramp up using powers, because the rogue really doesn't have any other way to generate like a barbarian can sacrifice hit dice to generate mana. The monk generates mana whenever you take initiative because that's already built into the monk's chassis. A fighter, when you use second wind instead of getting hit points, you can get mana back. All these classes get mana back on a short rest anyway unto themselves. But the rogue didn't have any like mana tricks. Before, the mana trick that we were using was sacrifice your sneak attack dice, so you can't use sneak attack until you take a short rest. In the meantime, you get an extra point of mana for every sneak attack die you sacrifice, and that ended up making you not play the rogue because you're getting rid of your sneak attack to generate mana. So being able to just automatically generate mana instead of using sneak attack when you hit is a better solution, and then having things that just give you more like no one gets mana for not moving, but the rogue is so movement dependent. Sacrificing that movement is you're specifically exposing yourself so you can pull more mana to do more stuff during your turn. And teleportation doesn't count as movement. There's a number of teleportation effects in here, so you could drop your movement to 0 to ramp a teleportation effect that ends up letting you do stuff and move anyway. It's a way to trick the system. But that's kind of how deck building works in Magic the Gathering. And it's certainly how character building worked in 3rd edition. and that you're taking this selection of different classes and prestige classes and making this multi-class with feat options to build a character deck that over the course of 20 levels, it progresses and it can do more and more crazy shit that leans into a theme that you want. And when you put the color philosophy on top of it, like your Dimir blue-black mana character is now like focusing on like manipulating emotions, charming, frightening, stealing memories from people. There's a lot of fun stuff you can do with like blue-black, as opposed to like Simic blue-green would be more around like, I'm going to alter the form of my body so I can perform this heist mission. Like, I need to go underwater to steal this, I don't know, like Mission Impossible, to steal this hard drive, I need to go underwater. Well, I'm going to use my mana to adapt myself so I can breathe underwater. So me stealing that's going to be really easy for me because I can breathe underwater. Like, these are ways that you can modify your character using the mana system to lean into the theme of your character based on your color philosophies and the mechanics that you use to express your character's abilities through that color. That's the idea that we're looking at. So, and then reliable power at 14th level. When you roll one of these power dice, if the result is less than the rank of power you've gained as a rogue, that's the minimum number. So a 13th level rogue has access to 4th rank powers as a half caster, 4th level at 13. That means if I were to roll a d8 and I rolled less than a 4, it's going to be a 4, which helps stabilize strike damage, and it helps stabilize, like, if you're going to ramp your like ability checks and d20 tests like that, it leans into your rogue's abilities. And then you have 20th level Stroke of Luck as a 4th rank exploit. If you fail a d20 test, you can turn the roll into a 20. Basically, anytime you spend 4 mana, and you can generate free mana to pay for that at no cost, or you can expend mana in your mana pool, which you'll get back on a short rest, to be able to use it as often as you want. And you can use it anytime that you want, and it doesn't use any action economy to do it. You just throw it out. It's an exploit, so you get it for free, but you can prepare it as one of your known powers, and that reduces the cost to 3 mana. So you could easily pay for Stroke of Luck at least once per round. If you wanted to sacrifice like your movement and your bonus action, you'd be able to do it twice. So a lot of fun options, but this is new tech. And since the tech has changed, that means that we need to review all of our subclasses and make sure everything jives. So looking at the Arcane Trickster, we're just going to start at the beginning and just work our way through. We're going to work on the 4 subclasses that graduated to the 2024 book, and then we're going to look at the Horror and Forgotten Realms. They have the Phantom and the Scion of the Three. Those are 2 experimental Unearthed Arcana subclasses for Rogue. We're going to translate those using this new tech in the mana system. And then we'll go to the Forsaken subclasses from 2014 that didn't graduate to the 2024 mechanics that we've already converted. But right now we're going through them to see, now that we have this new approach to sneak attack and being able to generate action economy with your movement and more mana with reactions, let's see how we can manipulate the system to lean into those specific benefits that the rogue gets, to make the subclasses more unique compared to other options. So that's the experiment. So let's sally forth. So Arcane Tricksters, where we start. I love the Arcane Tricksters, super fun. When you choose a subclass at level 3 and at the levels listed, you gain bonus powers. These are always prepared without counting towards your total prepared powers. When you choose this subclass at level 3 and the levels listed, you gain, you add spells, you add bonus spells to your list of prepared powers, period. These are always prepared without counting towards your total prepared powers. Bonus spell list. At level 3, choose 2 cantrips and 2 level 1 spells. Let's see. You choose Cleric, Druid, or Arcane Sorry. Choose a divine. Choose arcane. Choose arcane, divine, or primal magic for your spell list. When you gain this feature, cantrips and spells are selected from this list, from the chosen list. Period. So bonus spells at 3rd level, choose 2 cantrips and 2 level 1 spells. At 5th level, choose 2 more up to level 1 spells. At 9th level, choose 2 more up to level 2 spells. At 13th level, choose 2 more up to 3rd level. And then at 17th level, choose 2 more up to 3rd level. And then our level for spell casting, instead of gaining cantrips, hold on, features goes up here. Let's do it like this. Spell casting. And let's take that line we just did. Spells. Instead of spell casting and bonus spells. Instead of gaining bonus powers with this archetype, choose arcane, divine, or primal magic. Period. There we go. You can choose a selection of cantrips and spells from your chosen list. Spell casting follows all normal rules for components, maintaining concentration, etc. Cantrips at 3rd level, choose 2 cantrips from the wizard's spell list to learn. You can change 1 cantrip when you gain a level. At level 5, 9, 13, 17, you gain 2 spells. How do I want to word this? There. Preparing spells level 1+. At 3rd level, choose 2 level 1 spells from the chosen list. From your spell list to prepare. Let's see. It's a little clunky because the progression is different. Let's go with. I want to keep the scaffold because we keep the scaffold. But it's a little wonky because the half casting progression, we gain power levels at 1, 5, 9, 13. But for spell casting, we don't get it until 3, 7, 13 and 19. That's 4 levels, then 6 levels, then 6 levels. 1, 7, 13, 19. Okay. So preparing spells at 3rd level, you choose 2 level 1 spells from your list to prepare powers. At level 7, you can choose. Yeah, let's just keep it that way. At level 7, choose 2 more spells up to level 2. This makes sense. At 13th level, at 13th level, 7th level, mind the language. At 7th level, choose 2 more spells up to What is going on with my keyboard? Choose 2 more spells up to 2, 4, 6, 8. No. Let's see. Preparing levels, spells level. Preparing spells. I need to rework this real quick. Hold on. Preparing spells. Starting at 3rd level, you gain 2 bonus spells from your chosen list. Two bonus level 1 spells from your chosen list. Period. You gain 2 additional spells, 2 additional bonus spells at level 5, 9, 13, and 17 for a total of 10 bonus spells at whenever you gain a level, whenever you gain a rogue level, you can change one of these spells for another. At 7th level, you can choose spells up to level 2. There we go. At 13th level, you can choose spells up to level 3. At 19th level, you can choose spells up to level 4. Is there anything else I need to say here real quick? You gain 2 additional spells at level 5, 9, 13, 17 for a total of 10 bonus spells. Whenever you gain a rogue level, you can change one of these spells for another. At 7th level, there we go. This belongs here. There you go. Spellcasting ability. You can choose your channeling ability as your spellcasting ability as well. And up above, we have listed that you can choose either dexterity, intelligence, or charisma as your channeling stat for your bonuses. That's to make it easier for you to multi-class and to stay on theme with the type of character without having to rely on, say, intelligence as your casting stat, since you aren't dedicated to being a wizard. You can choose cleric, druid, or wizard magic, and you can choose dexterity, intelligence, or charisma as your casting stat. So you could have a intelligence-based druidic caster, or a dexterity-based cleric caster, or intelligence-based wizard caster if you wanted to. Maintaining concentration on a spell follows the rules presented in the Color Mana Spell Point variant rules, which I have linked down below in the MTG bundle. So you can maintain concentration on and each rank of power you sustain. So like you can sustain up to 5 ranks of power as a 17th level rogue using the power system. But if you're concentrating on, like, say, Spirit Guardians at 3rd level, that's tying up 3 of your 5, so you'd only be able to have 2 ranks worth of sustained powers active while you're concentrating on that 3rd level spell. Your concentration and sustained, they overlap, or rather they get in each other's way. So a high level caster can load up on concentration, but a multi-class character might want to, and this is kind of a multi-class hybrid, you want to kind of balance between how much am I concentrating on and how much am I sustaining as personal buffs. And you are not limited to casting 1 spell with mana per round. For example, you can cast a level 3 spell that uses the magic action and a level 2 spell that uses a bonus action. There's like 10 spells that are bonus spells, and they're all damage spells, like Spiritual Weapon, I think Divine Power. There's like a paltry 10 spells, and there's like 5 or 6 spells. No, like all the Divine Smite spells, those are all bonus action. All the Ranger spells are bonus action, but very few of those are available to the Cleric, Druid, or Wizard. There's like 4 spells that are reactions, so not allowing you to, like, it's silly to, like, I cast a spell and I have a reaction available. Someone's trying to hit me with a spell, but it's my turn. I already cast Fireball, so I can't cast Counter Spell. We get rid of that because there's so few things that actually get in the way or any reason for you to not be able to use a bonus spell. The exception to this is the Sorcerer that can quicken any spell by spending a couple extra mana, and that allows them to turn basically any magic action spell into a bonus action. But we just have the caveat that when you're using Quicken Spell, you can't use that alongside casting a spell like normal, because the spell isn't meant to be a bonus action spell. You're making it a bonus action spell. So you still conform to, if you've used a bonus spell with Quicken Spell, you can't also have cast or plan to cast a normal spell with your magic action, but you could still do so with a reaction. So I could quicken a spell, then cast a cantrip, and still have a reaction available, like for shield, for instance, or whatever. I can do that. So there's my options. Anyway, that's how it works. So we resolved all that. We can get rid of the bonus list. Here, we'll end up duplicating this language. This is a much cleaner version than we had for the Eldritch Knight. So we're going to, we're just going to grab all of this. Copy. Forgive the tangent here real quick. We're going to go into the fighter because this is just better language. We just keep finding better language for stuff. This is barbarian. Here we are, fighter. And then we'll go down to the Eldritch Knight. From the chosen spell list. Good. Chosen spell list. Cool. Okay. Mage Hand Legerdemain. You learn the Mage Hand cantrip and can cast it as a bonus action. Again, this is a way for you to not get in the way of yourself. You can make the Spectral Hand invisible. You can control the hand as a bonus action, and through it you can make a dexterity sleight of hand checks. Magical Ambush. When you're invisible, if you force a creature to make a saving throw, they roll with disadvantage. This doesn't apply to saving throws to end ongoing effects. Hold on. If you force a creature while invisible. While you're invisible. Why is it? Why? Hold on. What am I missing? What the hell is going on with Rogue that's giving them invisibility? That can't be the feature. I must be hallucinating. Hold on. Because that doesn't make any sense. Magical Ambush. If you have the invisible condition when you cast a spell on a creature, but what if I don't have invisibility? That's a dead feature. That doesn't make any sense to me. So, if you force a creature to make a saving throw, they roll with disadvantage. If a spell or power forces, if a spell or power targets one creature, that targets one creature. If a spell or power that if a spell or power that targets one creature forces it to make a saving throw, they roll. Oh. If you cast a spell or channel a power while invisible, including while hidden, because now in 5e24, invisible, when you're hidden, you have the invisible condition. That's why. So this is a little redundant, but just as a reminder. So if you cast a spell or channel a power while invisible, that forces a creature to make a saving throw, they roll with disadvantage. This doesn't apply to saving throws to end ongoing effects. There. So if a saving throw would trigger an effect and you cast it or channel it as power while you're hidden, disadvantage on their check. This rewards you for using your bonus action to hide and then pop them with a spell effect in the process. And then on top of that, we have the exploit called Vanish. So this you don't have to have this. It doesn't automatically come with the character kit, but you can pick it up as early as level 1. Is it level 1 or is it level 2? Hold on. Let's verify that. Vanish, level 2. So by 5th level, you get this, and that feature you don't get until 9th. So you can already have Vanish on tap. So, how does that work? Vanish. When you take the hide action, you can do so even if you don't have any cover to hide behind. And the minimum result of your hide check is 15, because now if you don't roll at least a 15 on your dexterity check, you aren't hidden. You automatically fail. So with this power, you spend 2 mana to trigger this. You don't need cover, and you can automatically succeed because you're going to get at least a 15 even if you roll less than that. You can remain hidden this way even if you aren't behind an object that can conceal you until the beginning of your next turn. At the beginning of your next turn, you can just turn it back on again and then keep it going with 2 mana. It's expensive to do it, but you can just literally be just hidden in plain sight. Just literally just disappear from view as though you'd cast invisibility, but it's not a spell effect. So there's no components or anything that would go along with it. So that's really useful to pick up and completely leans into Magical Ambush as an effect. That makes total sense. I'm glad about that. New feature, Trickster Magic. When you sacrifice your bonus action or reaction during combat to generate temporary mana, you can expend that mana to cast one of your bonus spells. Wait a second, we can already do that. This is a dead feature, so I don't need to have this, which is good because I didn't want it in there anyway. Where are we at? Instead of gaining power, archetypes, maintaining each chance at a level you aren't limited to. No, I did need that because the ranger, the paladin, and the artificer can do this at first level. I want to bring this in. I think hold on. Let's go check the Eldritch Knight. War Bond, War Magic. Cast Eldritch Knight cantrip, casting time, Eldritch Strike. When you sacrifice a bonus action during combat to generate temporary mana, you can expend that mana to cast one of your bonus spells with a duration of instantaneous or concentration instead of channeling a power. When you sacrifice your bonus action during combat to generate temporary mana, you can expend that mana to cast one of your bonus spells for a duration with a duration of instantaneous or concentration instead of channeling a power. Yes, that is good. So we're gonna do that. And here, so yeah, Trickster Magic is important. So when you sacrifice your bonus action, movement, your bonus action or movement during combat, because only the rogue gains mana by sacrificing movement. So anyone can do with bonus action, but normally marshals wouldn't have access to spells like this. So the Eldritch Trickster and the Arcane Trickster, the Eldritch Knight, and the Monk's Way of the Four Elements are the exceptions to that rule, that you can cast spells. So normally you can use your bonus action to generate mana to be able to channel powers during your turn. But since these have access to casting spells, the real debate is, should we give them like Ranger, Paladin, and Artificer can do that starting at level 1 right away. It's just part of their base kit. But we don't give you access to that stuff until you're halfway through your character progression at 9th and 10th level with these martial characters. I think I'm okay with that. I think them getting access to that much power, like that much flexibility at level 3 is too early. Yeah, it's too early. So I'm okay with this being at 9 and 10. I'm good with that. When you sacrifice your bonus action or movement during combat to generate temporary mana, you can expend that mana to cast one of your bonus spells with a duration of instantaneous or concentration instead of channeling a power. Yeah, there we go. 13th level, Versatile Trickster. You can use your Legerdemain to sow chaos in the battlefield. When you use any combat mastery in combat other than Cleave or Nick, you can target a separate creature within 5 feet of your mage hand with the same combat mastery effect. For example, if you use the Grapple mastery, you can grapple both the creature you hit with your weapon attack and another creature within 5 feet of your mage hand. So there you go. And there's 12 different combat masteries that we have that you can prepare as powers, and each weapon still has a weapon mastery as per the player's handbook. Martial and hybrid characters are automatically proficient in the use of those masteries because they're proficient with the weapon. Full casters are not, but the hybrids and the half cat and the martial characters automatically can use the mastery with every weapon that they're proficient with. But you can then go on to prepare masteries that could be used instead of the native mastery that's intrinsic to each of the weapons. And we don't have, and so now we have more diversity in what kind of masteries we can offer, since they aren't specifically bound to a type of weapon. So in the list of powers down here, and again, this document's available for anybody to read if you just click on the link down below on page 17. Page 17, Addle. Target makes an intelligence saving throw, and if they fail, they can't take opportunity attacks until the end of their next turn. Cleave, it has an asterisk by it because it's already in the player's handbook as a weapon mastery, and normally it's limited to two-handed axe or maybe a great sword. I think a glaive has it, but that's it. Not a lot of weapons have cleave, but this opens it up to any melee weapon. If you hit a creature with a melee attack roll using this weapon, you can make a melee attack roll with the weapon against a second creature within 5 feet of the first that is also within your reach. If on a hit, the second creature takes the weapon's damage, but don't add your ability modifiers to that damage unless the modifier is negative. And in addition, you can make this extra attack only once per turn, and this second attack cannot use another mastery or a strike. You can't stack masteries and strike powers on top of each other. So if I gain a strike, like if I gain an attack from a strike power, I can't use another strike power to give me another attack. I can't just cascade attacks. I can't use Nick with Cleave. I can't use Cleave with Nick. It's limited to one or the other. You can only use one mastery at a time unless something says otherwise. And if you use a strike power, that replaces using any combat masteries. Combat masteries are kind of like a cantrip because it doesn't cost you any mana to use it, but it still uses up your on-hit effect slot. While a strike power is like a leveled spell that you can cast as an on-strike effect, but you can't stack them up. My personal opinion about the Paladin in 2024 versus 2014, there was no problem with the Paladin being able to spend mana or a spell slot on hit after I hit with an attack. The problem was that all the other smite spell effects were bonus actions that you could stack on top of Divine Smite. They understood the problem stacking 2 spell-like effects at the same time allowed you to ramp too many dice, like 78 or whatever damage with banishing on top of it. No, it would be, God, it would be 98 damage plus you banish your foe. That was deemed to be too powerful for just ongoing effects, because you could do that at least once per round, sometimes twice, depending on how. Like, I could use a bonus action to set up banishing smite ahead of time, and then when I go into combat and I hit you, I could use divine smite and then the banishing smite that I had prepped to hit you for 98 damage, banish you. I have my bonus action now open because I used it last round to set that up. I can now set up another bonus action and use my other attack and do another 98 damage to another target in the same turn. So you can stack these cascading effects. That was too much, too aggressive. The solution wasn't to make Divine Smite a spell and to make all of them bonus spells so you can only do it once per turn. The correct solution was to make all of those Smite spells class features instead of spells that a bard could steal. If you had made all of them class features, or kind of like the Sorcerer's Metamagic list, then only the Paladin would be using those strike powers, and you wouldn't be able to double stack them. You'd have to pick one or another. So that was the best solution, but for some reason they missed it. So, I mean, personal criticism here. Disagree with me if you want, but if you do, I'm happy to argue with you about it in my Discord, which is free to access, and it's linked down below. So come at me, bro. Disarm, grapple, that's a new effect that we created. Disarm is a new effect that we created. And again, there's no limitations on disarm. I could use a pistol and shoot the gun out of your hand. Like, that's such a trope. So it just makes sense that would be available. So yeah, there they are. Bunch of powers. Bunch of fun powers. Let's see. Next, Spell Thief, that's right. So yeah, Versatile Trickster, that's super cool because you can affect, but a rogue would have to prepare power, would have to prepare weapon masteries. What does it say? You can use your Legerdman to sow chaos in the battlefield. When you use any combat mastery, when you use any prepared combat mastery, because you can't, if I'm if I'm using say a javelin to topple, my Legerdman wouldn't also be able to topple because that's intrinsic to the weapon attack that I'm doing, not a skill that I have. By preparing the power topple, I'd be able to topple with literally any weapon that I'm holding, and my mage hand can now topple you as well. So there you go. Spell Thief 17. You gain the ability to magically steal the knowledge of how to cast a spell or channel a power from another creature. Immediately when a creature targets you with a cantrip, power, or spell, or if you're in its area of effect, you can take a reaction to force the creature to make an intelligence saving throw using your channeling DC, which is implied in the rules up above. On a failed save, you negate the effect against you, and you steal the knowledge of that cantrip, power, or spell if you are able to cast or channel it. For the next 8 hours, you have the stolen effect prepared until, let's do it instead like this. Until you begin a long rest. You have the stolen power effect prepared, and the targeted creature can't cast it until the effect ends. Once you steal an effect with this feature, you can't use this feature again until you finish a long rest, or until you expend 4 mana from your mana pool. You can only have 1 stolen effect at a time this way. If you steal another effect before if you steal another effect, before this feature ends, before this use of Spell Thief ends, you replace it with the new stolen effect, but the targeted creature doesn't recover it until the duration ends. That doesn't end. You replace it with the new stolen effect, and the creature regains use of it immediately. And the creature, the effect is stolen from, regains it immediately. There. Okay, well, that finishes the Arcane Trickster. Cheers. Let's double check here real quick. A lot of spell prep up front. Mage Hand, Leisure Demon. That makes sense. Tap. What time is it? How long have we been at this? 55 minutes? Okay, let's see if we can get through the Assassin real quick. And then we'll follow up. We'll be back. We're going to be back Monday night to continue this. So if you think this stuff is cool, like, subscribe, hit the bell icon for notifications to get notification when we're live in the future as well. Hey, Steve. It's good to see you, my guy. Oi. Okay, yeah. Let's look at the Assassin real quick. Make sure this guy still makes sense. Poisoner Feat makes sense. Poison as a damage type makes sense. Subtle Channeling makes sense. Sharpshooter as a feat makes sense. First Strike is a 3rd rank exploit. I believe that is still true. Exploits. Second. First Strike, 3rd rank, 9th level. When you roll initiative, if an enemy is within range of your weapon attack, make an attack roll against that enemy instead. Whether you hit or not, the result of the attack roll is also your initiative count. So when I roll initiative, make an attack roll. I spend 3 mana, make an attack, so I can basically act before initiative. And that becomes my initiative. And if I hit, I can do all the things to it, which the Assassin definitely benefits from. Let's see. Poisoning Strike, I believe, is still a 2nd rank strike power because it imposes both advantage. It imposes disadvantage on all D20 tests. So I believe it's 2nd rank. Makes sense that it would be. Poisoning Strike. Your weapon can deal poison damage and increases damage by 1 power die per mana channeled. In addition, the creature is poisoned. The creature can attempt to end this effect by succeeding a Constitution saving throw at the end of each of its turns. Yeah, that makes sense. All marshals, all rogues, because of the cunning, because of the empowered sneak attack option to exchange your sneak attack damage for mana to channel a strike through, we all get Martial Strike, which increases your power die by 1. So at 1st level, instead of rolling a d6, you'd roll a d8. At 9th level, instead of rolling 3d8, you'd roll 3d10. It doesn't have any kicker effect other than you can use a weapon mastery that you with the weapon or that you have prepared. You can use any combat mastery with that ramp damage. So most of the time you deal extra damage and it has some sort of a kicker effect, like blind somebody or slow them or paralyze them or teleport or whatever. But the Martial Strike, it just increases the damage size that you're going to roll, and it lets you use a weapon property, a weapon mastery that you already have. So there you go. Assassinating Damage is a 4th rank power. That lets us re-roll our damage and keep the higher result for any number of dice that we roll, including sneak attack dice or power dice, crit damage dice, extra damage dice from magical weapon stuff like a Flame Tongue does like an extra 2d8. We'd be able to re-roll those to hopefully get higher numbers if we wanted to. Flicker Pounce, I think that should still be 3rd rank maneuver. Let's just double check it real quick. Flicker Pounce is super fucking cool. Hold on. Yeah, it is 3rd rank. Flicker Pounce. You can teleport up to 30 feet to an so I could sacrifice my movement to generate 2 points of mana at 11th level, and this would allow me to move by teleporting, which isn't technically movement. So you could teleport up to 30 feet to an unoccupied space that you can see and attack a creature that is within reach of your melee weapon that you can see. If the attack succeeds, you can then choose to teleport back to your initial position. If the attack fails, you don't teleport the second time. So for 3 mana, you can teleport 30 feet, make an attack, and if you're successful in hitting, you can then teleport back to your original position. If you fail, you're stuck where you're at. High risk, high reward. So I could sacrifice my movement to generate 2 points of mana, and then just spend 1 point of mana to flicker in, hit, and then flicker back. And I could do this as a bonus action, and I could do it as a standard action, like as a magic action. So instead of making attacks, so I could flicker pounce twice. It would cost a total of 6 mana, which is expensive as hell unless I'm sacrificing action economy to trigger it. I could sacrifice my reaction for 2 mana at 11th level. I could sacrifice movement for 2 mana at 11th level. I would want to keep my magic action and my bonus action, so I'm out of action economy, but I've generated 4 points of mana for free. So then I could only have to spend 1 point each to flicker pounce in, and I'm still going to I'll get 2 attacks in my round. I'm still limited to only 1 attack for sneak attack per turn, but I could. So I could like hit you with a sneak attack, give up my sneak attack dice, and like say deal a 3rd rank strike against you. And then on my bonus action, I could flicker pounce again to the same or a different target, and then choose the spend mana to do another strike. So I could, at 11th level, 3rd rank power max, I could spend up to 8 mana in 1 turn if I wanted to, by sacrificing my movement and reaction to flicker pounce twice, and then just dump in a shitload of action a bunch of mana to ramp up my my strikes. Hey, what's up? I like the assassin. I like the assassin in the Hyperbria RPG. Oh yeah, he has this ability that allows him to be a sniper as well. Yes. Yeah, Flicker Pounce is super useful. I pulled that from the Telflamar Shadow Pouncer, which was a 3rd edition prestige class for the the Telflam. It's I think that's an organization in Fae. I think they're a Fae and Thieves Guild, and they're all about teleportation and darkness magic. They're super fucking cool. But yeah, we have Sharpshooter as a feat that you get at 5th level, so you can be a sniper, and then of course you get all the poisoner stuff that goes along with it. Subtle channeling means that there's no visual tell that you're channeling magic, because there's no VSM components to channel power. There's always some sort of a visual cue, and when you're using the color magic system, like if I'm playing a Dimir assassin, I'm going to have blue and black magic. So if I'm using magic, I'm going to I would be having some sort of black or black blue or blue radiance coming off of me or my weapon, or like when I hit a target and I blind them, there could be like a black cloud on their eyes that's preventing them from seeing until they're able to shake off the magical effect with a saving throw. But with subtle channeling, there is no tell that I'm producing this magical effect. It just hits you, and it costs only 1 mana to use it. But if I get it for free here. But if I prepare it a second time, it reduces the cost to 0. So I could permanently make all of my magic invisible, which is perfect for the assassin as well as for an arcane trickster. It's perfect, but it's going to cost you an extra power to learn it. So you're reducing your flexibility to retain anonymity. So super useful. Sharpshooter, of course, is excellent. Assassinating damage. So at 17th level, you gain the efficient power feat, which reduces assassinating damage from 4 mana down to 3. And with efficient power, we can reduce flicker pounce from 3 down to 2 mana. So I could sacrifice my movement, and at 17th level, flicker pounce, I can just do it as a bonus action. I can just, if I give up my movement, I can just do it for free. Flicker back. There you go. And if I give up my reaction, I could flicker pounce in and back as a magic action. So it would cost me no mana to do flicker pounce twice around if I'm willing to give up my reaction, my movement, using my magic action and my bonus action to trigger those mana effects. So yeah, it's a good kit. It's a really good kit of power that helps the assassin do what the assassin wants to do. I could use you could use improved invisibility on your That'd be the arcane trickster that would get that. But improve invisibility, remain invisible even if you make an attack. So you could flicker pounce in invisible, you hit somebody, deal psychic damage, they don't bleed, their brain just pops in their head, and then you flicker out again and no one saw you. Like really, really cool options there. Okay, so into the features. You excel at ambushing creatures, granting the following features. Initiative. You roll initiative with advantage. And during the first round of combat, your attack rolls have advantage against any creature that has not taken its turn yet. So if you use First Strike, you spend 3 mana, and when you roll initiative, you instead make an attack against a creature that's within reach of your weapon. And if you do so, your attack roll becomes your initiative modifier. And technically, if your roll is higher than your target, you're acting before them, so the assassin will automatically trigger. So, useful. Surprising strikes. During the first round of combat, your sneak attack deals extra damage equal to your rogue level. God damn, that's good. But that's your sneak. We'll have to reword that. During the first round of combat, if you deal sneak attack damage, if your attack deals sneak attack damage, increase the result of the sneak attack dice by an amount equal to your rogue level. And again, looking at how this new feature works. Sneak attack works like normal, but empowered sneak attack goes like this. When you have the option to deal sneak attack damage, you can instead sacrifice this extra damage to gain temporary mana equal to the max rank of power you have gained as a rogue to channel a strike power. In addition, you always have the martial strike power prepared. So at 3rd level, when I get this, I only have 1 rank of power, so I could use instead of dealing 1d6, I could instead use a power die d6 and have a kicker effect. But if I use the power die, I'm not using my sneak attack damage dice. I'm using my power dice to deal a strike power. So with this particular feature, the way that it reads is that if I choose to deal sneak attack damage, I can ramp that damage by adding my rogue level to it. There you go. So this is giving you reasons like I can deal less damage but have this condition effect that I impose. Or I could just lean into raw damage with my sneak attack dice. Your choice. And you can choose every time you use it. It's just a way for you to specialize in how you're inhibiting, like how you're like getting like these sneak attacks. You could at higher levels, you could hit somebody and just banish them. Poof, they're gone. Fuck off. Or paralyze them or whatever. There's a whole bunch of cool stuff you can do. Right. Assassin's tools, you gain a disguise kit and a poisoner's kit, and you have proficiency with them. And then we also get the poisoner feat on top of it, and we can just automatically deal poison damage. So those are all super good. Infiltrating expertise. You have excel in the art of infiltration. Granting you the following features. Masterful mimicry. You can unerringly mimic another person's speech, handwriting, or both if you have spent at least 1 hour studying them, or if you expend 3 mana during your turn while taking the study action to observe the target. And then roving aim. Your speed isn't reduced to 0. I need to change that. Let's see. Your speed isn't reduced to 0 by... we need to change that. Roving aim. Let's see how it's actually listed in the book real quick, just to make sure we know what we're doing. Roving aim. Your speed isn't reduced to 0 by using study aim. So, let's reword it. Uncanny power. When... Okay, you can sacrifice... Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, you can sacrifice... Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Oh, wait, the way... Okay, the way that... The way that steady aim works is you don't move and you sacrifice your bonus action to get advantage on an attack. So you give it your movement and you give up a bonus action to get advantage on one attack. So during your round of combat, you don't move, you don't get a bonus action, and you get one attack, and that one attack is now at advantage. That's a horrible value. They created a problem. And then they created the assassin to fix it. I don't like that design, so we need to refigure that real quick. Hold on. Let's refigure that real quick. Roving aim. I like the idea of roving aim. But you're going to sacrifice your movements. Let's do this. Roving aim. When you sacrifice action economy to generate temporary mana, you can the next attack you make during your... When you sacrifice action economy to generate temporary mana during your turn, the next attack you make before the turn ends has advantage. So, Flicker Pounce. You get a free attack when you Flicker Pounce. So if I were to sacrifice my movement to generate the mana to Flicker Pounce with, that attack now has advantage. I can flicker in, automatically deal sneak attack damage because I have the advantage, and then flicker back out again. I love that. Oh, God, I love that. That's so fucking perfect. Okay. Or I could, if I'm sniping, since I'm not going to be moving, I can snipe, right? So I can use my sniper to use a precise attack to ramp my attack roll up using power dice. And then on top of that, since I sacrificed my movement, not only am I going to be rolling extra dice to see how high I can ramp my attack roll, but I'll be doing it with advantage as well. Holy shit, that's really good. That's really good. It's not really appropriately called roving aim anymore, though. Let's call it empowered aim. God damn, that's good. And Venom, I don't mean to boast. It's just, I discovered these things with you guys. I didn't think of that until just now. That's just something we discovered because of the way that the mechanics and the options that are built into the assassin and the rogue. What would be a cool way to make those features work together? Like, we get these bonus powers. What features does the rogue have that would make these powers super cool? That's built into the assassin already. We're just basically reflavoring that roving aim to utilize the bonus power and the empowered actions that we can take using the mana system to come up with empowered aim. And that's such a self-fulfilling feedback loop. It's so cool. I geek out on this shit because it's neat. When a target is poisoned by your poisoning strike power, whenever it fails the Constitution saving throw to end the effect, it takes poison damage again, equal to the number of power dice rolled when you channeled the power, equal to the result, it takes poison damage again, equal to the sum of power dice rolled when you channel the power. And again, like at 13th level, we can channel up to 4 mana. So if we did a sneak attack and used poisoning strike instead of our sneak attack damage, it would do 4d6 damage of poison damage. And then with Envenom Blade, if we're using the Poisoning Strike, whenever it fails a Constitution saving throw to end the effect, it takes poison damage equal to that 48 damage, or that 48 damage that we just dealt to it. Oh, that's really good. That's really good because you get poison, and then you get the poison condition until you end it with a Constitution saving throw. Let's look at it again real quick, just so you guys remember what Poisoning Strike does. It's a 2nd rank power. Here, Poisoning Strike. When your weapon can deal poison damage and increases damage by 1 power die per mana channeled. In addition, the creature is poisoned. The creature can attempt to end this effect by succeeding a Constitution saving throw at the end of each of its turns. It's automatically poisoned, and you can end that effect by succeeding a Constitution saving throw. But with the Assassin, when you do that, they take that 48, like at 13th level, 4 damage, 48. They'll take that 4d8 damage of poison damage again. So you can just stack it up on them. God, that's cool. And then 17, Death Strike. When you hit with your sneak attack during the first round of combat, the target must succeed a Constitution saving throw, or the attack's damage is doubled. Wow, that's nice. And then obviously if you crit, it's quadruple damage. That's psychotic. Okay, I love it. That's super fucking cool. But I've ran out of time. That's lunch. So when we come back, we'll look at the Soul Knife and how it's evolved. We also have the Thief. And then this will be Monday night. So we'll have like a 2 or 3 hour block of time, depending on how much my endurance holds out. So we'll get through these 2 subclasses. We'll also get through the Scion of 3. And we'll get through the Phantom. So those 4 subclasses are on the block for us to work on Monday night. And depending on how the night goes, we could end up working beyond that and then getting into the Forsaken subclasses, the Inquisitive. The Inquisitive is the illustration that I posted on my social media posts today. And then there's the Mastermind. The Phantom is down here, but we're going to be using the Unearthed Arcana evolved form of it. The Scout, Swashbuckler, and then we'll be done with the Rogue. So then we'll be going back. We just did the Warlock last month, so you can go into the playlist and see our most recent revisions of Warlock. This is all still tracking and accurate. I think once we're done, if we don't finish the Thief Monday night, it'll be finished by Tuesday. And once we do that, I believe we'll have finished all 14 subclasses. All 14 classes. They should all be current with our current tech, with the most recent playtesting, which means our plate is now open for us to develop Strixhaven Mage Tower rules for combat adventuring or combat sports. So I am very much looking forward to that. So that's it for now, guys. Thanks a lot for anyone that's checking in on this. I do artwork Monday through Friday in the morning, and then I do game design like this on Tuesdays and Fridays at lunch like this, and then Mondays and Thursday nights like last night. So if you want to see more of this stuff, like, subscribe, bell icon, check out my books, join my Discord, and I look forward to seeing you all in the future. Thanks a lot. Thanks, Steve, for being here. Thanks to everyone for being here. I really appreciate you guys. See you on the other side. Laters.